Hey guys, it's Carolina here from KarolinasKrafts and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be showing you guys how to make this adorable album that has 3 signatures. It has a ton of space for photos and it's such a cute album and design that I came up with and I just absolutely love it. I do have a full project share video of this album on my channel, so if you guys want to check that out, definitely check out the description box down below. I'm only going to be doing a quick flip through here, not really talking about what I used and whatnot to make, or like with the paper and stuff. I'm not going to talk about all that. I will talk about that in the project share video, so check that out and check out that video so you guys can see. But for today, I'm going to show you guys what the album looks like quickly on the inside, and then we're going to get straight into the tutorial. So on the inside of this album, well, this is the outside, but the inside of this album is, oh my God, guys, you guys are going to fall in love. So it is just so cute. It's got 3 signatures, like I said before. Here is the first one. I have this pull-out tag here. This piece flips up for some photos. Then this folds out this way. You've got another little pocket here with a tag, and then this flips out again this way, and you've got another tag right there. So then that closes back up. This flips here. We've got naughty and nice. Here we've got a little booklet with a yappy holiday. This flips up here. You've got another cut apart here. And then these flip out again this way for more space for photos. And you could obviously add another photo here. You could add photos on the inside. You could tuck some more in this pocket. And this on the outside keeps that closed. Here we have like a triple, quadruple kind of pocket. So this piece right here, the nice, is a tuck spot. Then we've got an actual pocket back here. So that's a pocket. Then we have a pocket here on the side with a little booklet. And then we've got a larger one with just a larger size insert. Then this flips. Now here we have, like, I don't even know what this is called, but I made this here. It says, "Dear Santa, please define naughty." And I just like how you could see all of the papers, the pattern papers, but you could add a ton of photos here because you could add a photo here and here, and same thing here and here, here and here, and here and here. And the photos obviously get larger, as you guys could see. Then this page, I absolutely love it, and I talked more about what I wanted to design on this page in my project share video, and it just didn't turn out, so it ended up like this, and I love it. So here we just have some tags behind these ribbons, so I just have a couple of tags there. And then this flips up this way, space for photos. And then here, this flips up, this flips down. You have space for all the photos here. And if you wanted to tuck something over here in here as well, you could totally do that because nothing would fall out since it's like 4 kind of, you know, squares. Then that closes, and then the back side here, you've got some tags here and this other one, and these flip out like this, and you've got more space for photos. So it's just a super cute, fun album I made. I started making it such a long time ago, and I just finished. I mean, it was months ago when I started, and I just finished, so I'm very happy with how it turned out. And then this last page here, I just made a little tuck spot, and I fussy cut around that cute little doggy. And that is everything. So here is what we're going to be making today. And now let's get into the tutorial. All right, guys, so for this tutorial, you're first going to need some chipboard. So you're going to start off with 1 piece of chipboard that measures 2 inches by 6 inches, and then also 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 7 inches by 6 inches. Okay, So get your chipboard, start cutting. If you guys don't have chipboard, I have it linked down below for you guys of the chipboard that I use. And also don't forget that there is a cutting guide available. So in case you guys don't want to keep pausing the screen and you want to look on the cutting guide, that's available in the description box down below, where you guys could download it from my Ko-fi page. So for that chipboard, you're also going to need 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. You're going to put some tape down on the shorter side of the paper. So I just like to use this tape. This is about, I think this is like a 3/8 inch size tape. So it's a little bit shorter than 1/2 inch. And I just love using it. I buy it in like the 10 packs when they have it available. So I'm gonna have that tape linked down below for you guys as well as this cardstock that I'm using also, this black cardstock, because it's what I use basically to make all of my albums, and it works fantastically. So I'm gonna have that linked down below as well. So I'm just peeling back that one piece and combining these 2 papers together. And then I'm pulling out just kind of like a guide for myself to make my albums. So this is from Craftelier. I have been using it since I got it to make all of my albums, and it just makes my life a little bit easier. So I use this and that. They do have a corner miter tool. I tend to still use my metal one just because I'm familiar with it. But yeah, this just acts as a guide. So if you guys are gonna be getting somebody a present for Christmas and they want to start making albums, well, here you go. Get them that, like, it's called a bookbinding tool. So here I am going to put down this piece right in the center. This is my spine, so 2 by 6 inches. And I'm just gonna place him right here. And that's a little bit more than 1 inch, but that's okay. I didn't even actually use that piece. So then on the other side, I'm gonna put down my larger piece of chipboard, my 7 by 6. And this is like a landscape-ish album. It's not too noticeable being landscape, but it is a landscape album. Okay, so that goes there. And then this piece, and this just acts as a guide. If you don't have that and you still want to make this album, you can use some scrap pieces of chipboard and combine 2 or 3 of them together. Or if you've seen my previous videos, I used to use a 1/4 inch tape and just put a 1/4 inch tape in between and use that as my guide. But now that I have this, I just use this. But there are other options if you do not have this book binding tool. So once you have that, you're gonna take your tape, and I always do 2 rows of tape all around, and I just ran out of this one of tape. Luckily, I have a couple more rolls, and I already ordered another 10 pack that's on its way. So let me just grab another roll. All right, so we got another roll here, so I could continue crafting. That's like the worst thing if you run out of craft supplies and you don't have backups. Like, oh my goodness, what do you do? There's been times where I've crafted like when the sun was going down or starting to go down because the power went out, and I had nothing else to do. I couldn't use my computer like I was originally doing. The power went out, so then I was just kind of making an album. And then once the sun did go down, then I had some candles and I was still making an album. But like, these things you could do when the power goes out. So it's great as long as you're fully stocked, you know? Anyway, I'm going to continue putting on my tape. So you should be doing the same right now if you guys are following along. Maybe you're watching this video in advance to see if this is something you want to make. But if you guys are watching it and crafting, then that's awesome. That's like the best way to do it and follow along. All right, so I got my 2 layers of tape there. And if you guys feel more comfortable, feel free to now grab your paper trimmer. But I am going to use my scissors because it really doesn't matter how straight this part is, but I am just going to cut off the edge, anything that's not covered in tape. I don't need that. It's just kind of extra, and I don't want to put down another layer of tape to make sure it sticks down. You don't need it. And I don't want any bubbles. Like I've seen some people do like a piece of tape down here and then up here. I don't want to risk things not being stuck down, and I don't want to risk creating any bubbles. So when I make my albums, especially the base, everything is covered in chipboard. Not chipboard, in tape. So that's just kind of how I have always done my albums. So now I'm just gonna grab my cutting mat, my corner miter tool. And if you don't have a corner miter tool, all you're gonna do when you cut this, just make sure to leave a 1/8 inch space between the paper and the chipboard. You don't want to cut up right against the chipboard, because then when you go to fold it, you're going to see the chipboard. It's not going to cover it up if you cut right up against it. So I'm just using my rotary cutter here and cutting off the corners. Like I said, you could do it without a corner miter tool, but I make albums a lot, and I find these tools are very helpful, and I never have to worry about like if my chipboard is going to be covered or not. All right, so once you have that, now you're going to start peeling back this tape. Okay, and you're going to press it against your desk, kind of fold it back and forth, and then press down completely and go over it with your bone folder to make sure it's stuck down very well. And then also do not forget to tuck in your corners. So on the edge here, just take your bone folder and push in those corners. That way when you go to fold the sides, you're not going to have like super sharp edges. Okay, so go ahead and press that down the opposite side of what you just did. And I always do the long side first, or maybe not the long side, but just the top and bottom first is kind of how I always do it. I mean, I guess that is the long side. All right, don't forget to tuck into those corners once again. And now you're ready to do the outsides. And go ahead and press that down against your desk. And the same thing on your last piece. All right, you could use your bone folder now and just crease these a little bit where it's going to fold. Don't go too crazy. You're still going to be adding in a spine and whatnot, but there you go. They fold nicely right there, and we've got what's starting to look like an album. So now you're going to grab your, oh my gosh, what is this called? Your scoreboard. And you are going to cut a piece of paper. This measures 5.5 by 9.5. And you're going to go ahead and score at, I already have my score lines, but I'm just going to kind of do it again with you. So you're going to score at 2 inches, 2 3/4, 3.5. Then you're going to score at 4 inches, 4 3/4, 5.5, then 6 inches, 6 3/4, and 7.5, and that's it. So you're just gonna score all that on your piece, on your 9.5 inch side from your 5.5 by 9.5 inch piece. And then now I didn't do this part, so now we have a ton of tape to add. So I'm gonna flip it over to the back side, and we are going to start adding some tape here. So on your larger pieces, there's 2 pieces that kind of face each other. You only need tape on one side. You don't need tape on both sides. So I'm just going to add my tape on one side here. Okay, those are going to connect. On my shorter pieces, I am still also going to add tape. You are going to need the tape there when you stick it down to your album later on. And you're also going to need tape on here, but I also need a smaller piece of tape because this is a little bit less than a half, and I still have a piece here that needs some more additional tape. So now I'm using a 1/4 inch here, and this space in between here is 3/4 of an inch, so I'm using a 1/4 inch and then a little bit less than a half, and that fits perfectly. Okay, and then I'm going to use a 2-inch tape, and you don't need all these different sizes, it's just I have them and they do come in handy. So my 2-inch tape is going to go out here. No, I'm not going to do that. I should have made it a little bit bigger than 2 inches, but that 2-inch tape is like on point. So I'm just going to add more tape here on the outside pieces. These are the 2-inch pieces now. And this is just kind of getting it prepared to later stick down to my album. And obviously I will add glue and whatnot because I want to make sure this is super duper sturdy. All right, so on those 3/4 inch pieces that are facing one another, you only have tape on one side. So that's these 2 pieces for me. So I'm going to peel that back and fold that into one another. Okay, this piece then gets folded out. And you could do all the folding first if you'd like, that might be easier. I think I'll do that on the rest actually. So that's what that's going to look like. That's why I only need tape on one side, because they're going to stick together. So I'm just going to continue folding. So I'm going to fold out now. Then I'm going to fold in so that these 2 pieces go into each other. Then I'm going to fold out again for the 1/2 inch piece. And then out again on the other side of the 1/2 inch piece. And then these 2 are going to fold together again for the 3/4. So it's just like a mountain kind of valley fold. Okay, so you see all the folding? It's going to look like this, and then these 2 are going to connect. So something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take off this next thing of tape so I could combine those pieces, the 3/4 inch pieces together, and then again here as well. So you're going to have 3 of those if you did it correctly, because we're going to have 3 signatures, and there's 3 pairs of the 3/4 inch pieces. So that's what you're going to have, something like that. Then you're going to take your scissors and you just want to cut these at an angle. So just cut off a little triangle from each side of this hinge now. All right, so you're going to cut off a little corner, and then you're also going to go in with some more tape, which you could have done beforehand, before you even folded these together. But at the top, or before you cut it off the corners, but at the top you're going to add another piece of tape. So I'm only going to add in this 1/2 inch. You could see there's additional space here, and that's just going to stay like that. When I add my signatures, I usually add it just a little bit over the tape, but I don't go all the way down to the score line. So I usually just put my signatures where I have the tape. So now that all that is stuck down, we want to put this down into our album base. So I'm going to take this here, and you want to make sure that this is straight and pretty even. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just grab my ruler, and just so I could have a little bit of a guide, here's my 2-inch. At 1 inch, I should have my center, signature piece. Okay, just so that's as a little guide. So I'm gonna take off all this tape back here now. Make sure to tuck in any tape that might be hanging over. Then I'm gonna just grab my glue, and I'm using Barely Art glue in case you're curious. But I'm putting glue all over here. Make sure you get it in between all of these sections as well. You want this to stay put. You don't want too much glue on the outsides though, but you do want this to stay put. And I see a little bit of a tape overhang right there. All right, so this centerpiece, I want it lined up with those lines that I made with my pencil. If I could see them, that would be good. All right, but it's approximately there. Okay, so I have that in the center, and also make sure your spine, your hinge piece, you're putting down in the center as well. I got a little bit glue up there, so just wipe that off. Okay, then go in with your bone folder and make sure that's all stuck down. And you want to make sure to stick it down in between your hinges also. And then also just like flip these hinges back and forth and crease those again. You want these to kind of like move freely. So I need to do mine a little bit more. You want them to go back and forth very easily. See, just like that. So if you could do that, you're good. Okay, so now I'm going to crease this here. Don't make a hole, so do this carefully. And then once you have a line, you could start picking up the side and continue to crease it lightly as you're lifting up the cover. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Crease it lightly, don't make a hole. I've done that before, it's not fun. And then start lifting it up and continue creasing with your bone folder lightly. All right, so we just made the base of our album, and that's where our 3 signatures are gonna go, and they're nice and even. So I am not gonna be adding my signatures to the album in the video because I like to put down my pattern paper first. But there's other videos that I have done that before. But anyway, it's just a little bit easier if you do your patterned paper first. All right, so for page 1, or actually no, we need to do our signatures, our signature pages. So you're gonna need to make your pocket pages here. So you're gonna need 3 pieces that measure 5.5 by 6.5. I'm showing you guys one because I already put 2 together. And you're gonna need 3 pieces that measure 6.5 by 6.5. And on one of the 6.5 inch sides, you're gonna score a 1/2 inch on both sides, which is what I did here. So 2 sides you guys could see. So I already have 2 of my other pocket pages put together. We are gonna do this 3rd one together right now. So on those scored lines, I'm gonna go ahead and fold this. Okay, and this one you don't do anything with, so now you're ready to glue this on top of that, and that creates your pocket page. So I'm grabbing my Barely Art glue again. This time I'm using a different tip. So I have a couple of Barely Art glues with different tips, just so I don't have to keep changing tips. See, like I have this one, and this one is, it says art glitter glue. It's actually Barely Art glue. I have the refills and I just kind of refill that bottle. So you're gonna go ahead and put this piece on. I like to put this and stand it up on my desk and make sure the bottoms are lined up before I stick the tops together. Okay, then go ahead and open that up also once it's stuck down, and just make sure it's super glued down. Well, not super glued, you know, we don't want to use super glue or crazy glue. Let's not do that, but you know what I mean. So then you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And then this one you could just stick down. Okay, so now you have this pocket page. So you're gonna have to do that three times. I already did my other two, like I said. So that's it for your pocket pages. So now let's go on to page 1. So I'm gonna grab one of these, and for page 1, and the way that I do it, like this is page 1, but when I do the back, that's page 2. So for page 1, you're going to need, hold on, let me see. So you're going to need a piece that measures 4 inches by 5.5, and you're going to score on the 4-inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so you're going to have a piece that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that, and then this gets glued down on the right hand side. And again, all this information is in the cutting guide. Okay, so glue that on the edge here. And burnish that. All right, on the inside here, you are going to have a pocket, and you're gonna do like a little small pocket. So this one measures 2 inches by 4 3/8. You're gonna score on the 2-inch side at 1/2 inch, just one side, and on the 4 3/8 inch side, 1/2 inch on both sides. Once you have all your score lines, go ahead and cut those corners off. Okay, and then burnish that. So as I said, this is a pocket. It's a nice, cute little pocket, and I love it, and it fits here, but I do want to add my pattern paper first, so I am going to be paper clipping that piece right there. So then on the other side, you are going to need a piece that measures 4 5/8 by 6 1/8. On the 4 5/8 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then once you have that, you are going to just fold along that line that you scored. And then to go with that, you're going to need another piece that measures 4 1/8 by 6 5/8. And on the 6 5/8 inch side, so the long side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. So I already did that once again. And you are going to fold that. And then this is going to go here. Okay, so I'm going to take that piece that has my score line on the 6 5/8 inch side, and I'm going to put this right in the center here. Okay, so just like that. And then this piece that has the top, you are going to glue that right on top of here, because this is our opening flap for our 4x6 cut apart. Okay, so I'm gonna just open this up and I'm gonna glue this guy down. Make sure he's lined up. Actually, you might want to cut this piece a little bit shorter. Otherwise, it's going to hit when you go to open that. So I'm just cutting mine just a sliver shorter before I glue him down. All right, so let's do that again. It was definitely good to open this up because you would see what's going to hit as you're gluing this down. So you don't want it to be under that other edge here when you have this opened, because then those pieces will hit and kind of get stuck. So now we have that. All right, so now when this gets opened, it'll be perfectly fine. So that's that there, and now I'm gonna go ahead and open this up, and here we're gonna add another pocket, but again, I can't glue it down, especially because this pocket's shorter, so you do need your pattern paper first, because it's shorter than the height of this. So you're gonna need a piece that measures 2.5 by 4.5, like a teeny bit shorter than 4.5, and I mean, I guess you really don't need to. You could keep it at 4.5 if you want. It's just kind of the way that I did it. But you are going to score on the 2.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and on the 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch on both sides. Now I am going to just erase a little bit here because when I add my patterned paper, I'll probably forget to erase that number 1. But also if I was to add it on top of that, you would see my pencil marks. But anyway, cut that also, like the angle pieces, and then go ahead and fold those over. But again, you cannot glue this down until you have your pattern paper. And make sure that these don't overlap. If they do, just kind of cut off a little bit more. But you don't want the bulk there if they overlap. So mine are both overlapping, so I just gotta cut more. Okay, so that is gonna live right here, but you see how that's much shorter than the height of this? You definitely need to add your pattern paper first, but I'm going to be paper clipping that just like that, and that is page number 1. So you're probably gonna want a magnet on this flap and then on this flap. So you can write down magnet. I would add it very like at the edge here as much as you can, as far as you can, because then otherwise you're gonna have to, the tag that you put in here is gonna depend on where your magnet is. If you put it here, you're gonna have the smallest tag ever. If you cover up that magnet, it's not going to close. So make sure it's kind of like on the end. And if you want, you could also write magnet here and here. That's how I did my album on that flap. All right, so back to this. I'm gonna paper clip this here so that that stays in place. And that is page number 1. So now I'm gonna flip this over. The back side is page number 2. That's how I count them. So for page number 2, this is just gonna have a bunch of like flaps and things, which I love. So you're first going to do your flap, okay, your large flap. So this measures 4.5 by 6.5, and then on the 4.5 inch side, so the shorter side, you are gonna score this at 1/2 inch. And again, if you're having trouble following along, go ahead and download that cutting guide from my Ko-fi website. While you're there, please consider making a donation because I make the cutting guides for you guys, since I write it all out on paper when I do it, or on my iPad. I write it with my own handwriting, and then I retype everything and make it all pretty for the cutting guides so that you guys have access to them. But please consider making a donation because they do take time. Making up these designs takes time. Like this one took me months to do. but I'm glad that it's finally done and I could get it out for you guys. But anyway, so this piece you are going to add to the top of your page 2. Okay, just like that. And make sure to burnish that. You're also going to need another piece that measures 2 inches by 6.5. Now this is a pocket. I did not make this a gusseted pocket though. You can if you want, and then in that case you would do 2.5 inches by 7.5, and you would score at 1/2 inch on the long side and 1/2 inch on both short sides. So you could do that if you want a gusseted pocket here. I did not do that. I'm just gluing down mine on 3 sides, but again, I want my pattern paper first, so I am just going to paper clip that. Then you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 3.25 by 3.75, so just 2 pieces, and then on the longer side, so the 3.75 inch side, you're just going to score at 1/2 inch, and you're going to do that on both pieces. So go ahead and fold those over now. And these are your flaps here. So you do not want your flaps to go right up against the score line, but you don't want them to go up right up against the pocket either. You want them to just kind of open without getting stuck on anything. But it's good to have this pocket here so you kind of know how high your flaps need to be so that they don't hit anything. Okay, so there's my one flap. And then on the other side, you're going to do the same thing. So add some more glue. And I want these to be lined up with one another, so I'm pushing it against the other one, making sure they're going to line up. And actually, I think one of them needs to be cut down a little bit shorter because it's hanging off the page. So if that happens, just cut a sliver off of one of them. So I do need to do that. I'm going to cut off a sliver. So I'm just going to fold out my flap, put it here, and I'm literally cutting off like a little sliver. So now these won't hit each other when they are closed. So that, my dears, is page 2. And that's it. Super easy, right? But it was so fun. The only other thing I did differently here is in mine, you do need to have some kind of a tuck spot down here, so some kind of an embellishment so that you could keep this flap closed. Otherwise, you are going to need some kind of a magnet, or you could do the photo kind of closures would probably work better than the magnet. If you do a magnet, then you're going to have to probably make this flap longer. But you could do the photo closures, and I like this look, so I would probably add some kind of embellishment here, leave it open, and use it as a tuck spot to kind of keep that flap closed. So just keep that in mind when you are making the album. There's ways to go around it, but you kind of just have to plan a little bit ahead. Especially if you were going to do a magnet, then you definitely have to do a longer flap, because otherwise it's like right around here, like it won't fit all the way on the pocket. So you definitely want to plan a little bit in advance. So now for page 3, I'm going to grab another signature page. I'll put the other one aside. So page 3, this is the triple pocket page. So you are going to need one piece that measures 6.5 by 5.75, and on the 6.5 inch side you're going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides. On the 5.75 inch side you're just going to score at 1/2 inch on one side, and you're going to go ahead and cut those corners off. And we cut corners off to get rid of the bulk, so it's not so bulky and overlapping. So then you're going to fold that on all the sides. And again, just make sure they're not overlapping. Mine is overlapping a little teeny bit here, so I'm just gonna cut off another little sliver. So here you are going to add this all the way to the end on the left hand side. So go ahead and just do the bottom part for now. And these you could add in, because these you could still add in the paper later on. If you want to just glue the bottoms for now, you could do that, and then glue the sides later on. Or you could glue the whole thing and you could always stick your paper inside, so that works fine also. So make sure that's stuck down. And then you're going to grab some packing tape, and you want to put some tape down on here, and that's just going to help whatever you put in here slide all the way down so it does not get stuck on that piece there. Okay, so then go ahead and glue the sides. Okay, and burnish that. Then you're gonna need your next pocket, so that's your larger pocket. Your next pocket is going to be 6.5 by 4.5. On the 6.5 inch side, you're scoring at 1/2 inch on both sides, like I have here. And then on the 4.5 inch side, you're scoring at 1/2 inch one side. And again, cut those corners off. And then just fold all that over. Okay, make sure they're not overlapping. Mine are overlapping again. Okay, so then you're just gonna glue down the bottom part first, because yes, you're gonna add more tape on the bottom of this one. So all the way on the left hand side, on top of that other pocket, you're gonna be adding in this pocket now. Okay, go ahead and open that up, and now we're going to add our packing tape. Okay, and then you're gonna glue the sides down. All right, so you have this pocket, you've got this pocket, and we're gonna do one more pocket, guys. So now you're gonna need a piece that measures 5 inches by 2.5. On the 5 inch side, you're gonna score at 1/2 inch on both sides. And then on the 2.5 inch side, you are gonna score at 1/2 inch one side. So one more time, go ahead and cut off those corners. And then fold those in. Cut anything off if you have some overlap. Okay, and you're gonna glue down the bottom part. And this time, this one doesn't go this way. I mean, you can do it that way, but it's a little short. But this one goes on the bottom here. So instead of a side pocket, I have this one as a regular pocket. Now, I did, if you guys could see in mine, I did do a little notch here. Did I do a notch here? No. Okay, so I did do a little notch here. If you want to do the notch, then I would not glue the rest down just yet. I find it easier to do the notch with this, so you would put this into your board with the paper and get your notch that way. So I'm gonna leave mine just like that because I don't want, I want to do my notch later. The only thing you are gonna do is put in your tape. Now, if you're doing this and you added your pattern paper already and now you're adding in your pocket, you're gonna need a smaller piece of tape. Mine doesn't matter right now that it's bigger, and you would kind of see it if you open this up a little bit, because I'm still going to be adding in my paper layer, and so you won't really see that. I mean, you can't really see it anyway, but you know, if somebody like looks in, then they would. So it really depends on how you are making yours. But anyway, that's page 3. So now the back of this, we are going to be doing page 4. Now page 4 is where you're going to need a ton of pieces, because that's kind of like that, I don't know if it's called like a cascading page or what that is called, but you're going to start off with your largest piece being 5 inches by 6 3/4, and on the longer side, the 6 3/4 inch side, you're going to score a 1/2 inch. So go ahead and fold that over. And you could either add this on this side or this side, depending on which way you want yours to open. I'm going to be adding mine on the right hand side. Okay, and you just want to take your time with this, make sure everything is like centered so that it looks even. Okay, so there is my first piece. Then your second piece should measure 4.5 by 6.5, and then on the 6.5 inch side, you're gonna score at 1/2 inch. This piece took me a while to figure out, guys, like the sizing. I was like, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to do it. So this was a little bit of a trial and error when I was making my album. All right, so now this piece, you are also going to line up in the center of that piece that you just put down. Go ahead and burnish that. Your next piece is going to measure 4 inches in height by 6 1/4, and then on the 6 1/4 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. So go ahead and fold that. And if you want to like round these edges or anything, feel free to do that as well. You could do that on these pages, like on the corners, if you do want to do the outside edges. You could do that. You could round them. You could use a stub punch. You could use a scallop punch. And just keep lining it up. I know it's hard to tell because it's black on black on black, but keep lining it up in the center of the one that you did before. Then you're going to need another piece that measures 3.5 inch height by 6 inches, and then on the 6 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Go ahead and fold that. And add some glue. And you're going to glue that down to the center of that last piece you just added. All right, so I don't know if you guys could see, but you have all your pieces. Just make sure, like I said, they're in the center so that the top and bottom space is fairly even. Then the last thing you're going to need is another piece that measures 2 inches by 3 3/4. And then on the 3 3/4 inch side, which is this way, I guess. I mean, either way, but you're going to score at 3 inches and at 3 1/4 inches. So you should have 2 lines there because you're going to need a gusset, especially after you add in all your pattern paper and your photos. Like, you are going to need a gusset here because this will bulk up. There's a lot of photos that are going to go on here. And this, you could obviously round the corners, which I would advise that you do. I'm not going to round mine yet because I don't know, I want to do that later. but I'm gonna paper clip mine actually, but you would just put this on the right hand side now and glue that down in the center, okay? And that's where your magnet would go, right on the end here and on that first page. Again, I am going to paper clip this. I don't wanna do that piece right now. Go ahead and paper clip it or glue it down, round your corners, do what you gotta do. So that is now page 4, just a little bit more pieces than the others. So now let's move on to page 5. All right, guys, so for page 5, you are going to, wait, what does page 5 look like? Let me look at my album. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is page 5, okay. All right, page 5. You are going to need one piece that measures 6 inches by 6.5. On the 6-inch side, this way you are going to score at 1/2 inch. So go ahead and get that closed. And this is going to be the same size of your pocket page. So you can make it a little shorter if you want. I wanted to do mine the same size because I added in a little pull ribbon here to indicate that this part opens up. Otherwise, the same size is kind of hard to open if you don't have that pull tab. If it's the same, so I do recommend the pull tab on this page. But line that up at the top. And go ahead and burnish that. All right, so on that page, I did these ribbons. Those you just do with ribbon afterwards and just crisscross them, and you glue down the edges. And I also glued down these center pieces where they overlap. That has to be done with your ribbon though. I mean, I guess you could do that with paper if you want. I like it with ribbon, so that's how I did it. But anyway, go ahead and open that flap. And now you're gonna need 4 more pieces that measure 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. And I have 4 of these here. And on the 4 1/4 inch side, you're gonna score all of them at 1/2 inch on one side. So this one has flaps that open top, bottom, and on each side. You have flaps that open up, okay? Now, this one's a little tricky, I mean, just a little bit, when you're gluing it, and I had to take mine off and then put it back on because of what I'm about to tell you guys. So, this first piece, just grab one of the cubes, okay, after you fold them, and go ahead and stick it down here, but you want it under the score line from the top, and you don't want it to line up completely with the left side edge. Only because you're gonna have problems if you try to like fold in your other pieces a different way. So there are, you want that to be able to kind of close, okay? So that goes there, and that flips open. Your piece over here, you need to also glue down. Okay, don't make it go all the way down, because then this other piece won't close. And you want this to be as far left as possible for this piece. And here's what I'm going to show you. If you put this piece down under here, you want this piece to close. I mean, I really don't have them overlapping. I have mine going like that. But it really depends on how you go ahead and then close your pieces. Because if they're moved over just a little bit, they're not going to close. All right, your next piece is going to go on the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, you do want this one all the way on the right. But you also, in case you flip this one this way, you want that to be able to close. okay? I got a little bit of glue on there on the outside, but that's fine because it's still gonna get covered up with paper, pattern paper. And then your last piece, you're gonna glue at the top here on the right-hand side, but under that previous piece that you did, because you want this one to fold over and close. So that's where it just gets kind of a little tricky. Make sure you're following all those tips. So when I did this, these two close, then this one, and then this one. And actually, this one needs to be a little lower. I'm just gonna move him down a little bit. See how fast this like sticks down? He just needed a little bit more space here to close, especially once pattern paper is on there. All right, so this is gonna close, this is gonna close, then this closes, and then this closes. So that's how I have mine. And then this one closes on top of all that. You are going to need a magnet down here on this piece, and then just up here, and a pull tab closure. And then your last page is your two side pieces and an angled pocket on each side. So you are just gonna need two pieces that measure 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And on the 3 3/4 inch side, you're gonna score at 1/2 inch on both sides. So go ahead and fold that. So you are gonna glue these on opposite sides, but you also wanna make sure they do not touch. So go kind of see if you would be gluing it all the way to the right, or if you need to cut off a little bit. Mine looks good, but just double check yours beforehand, because even just like the slightest off measurement may make those touch, and you might have to cut off a sliver off of one or both if you prefer. I usually just do one. Nobody could tell that one is a teeny bit bigger than the other. Anyway, so put this on one on the right, and then the other one is going to go on the left. Okay, and when I glue down the other piece, I usually kind of line it up with that last one that I just glued down, and then I stick it down. I don't know if my paper is just not straight here or something. I have to cut off a little sliver. It would have worked if I didn't mind this not being straight, but it's not looking straight, and that just kind of has to do with the Michaels paper. Yeah, see how it's a little bit bulkier at the top here than the bottom? The Michaels paper is not always even. Actually, it's never even, so there's that. So anyway, now I have a little bit more of a gap, but that's okay. It's better to have a little bit more of a gap than having them overlap. Then you're gonna need a piece that measures 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and as you guys could see, I scored on all 4 sides. So that's exactly what you are going to do. Then go ahead and, actually before we fold those, I'm gonna put this into my paper trimmer, and you're gonna cut on a diagonal from one piece to the other. So you're gonna cut from corner to corner. So line that up into your trimmer. Go ahead and cut those. So now you have 2 pieces, which is your pocket. Then you're gonna cut these at an angle. Okay, and when you fold these, you are gonna have some overlap, but we're gonna cut that off in a second anyway. Okay, so you see that's what it looks like. Just go ahead and cut those off. to line up. Okay, and you're gonna do the same thing with the other piece. Just like that, and same thing here. So now these pieces, and I need to cut off a little bit more from my corners because my corners are overlapping. Okay, so these pieces are gonna go on opposite sides on here. So your bottom piece, your left-hand piece is gonna go here. I mean, you could flip the other one. It doesn't matter which side goes on which side. But I'm gonna paper clip it because you do need pattern paper on this. And then same thing on the other side, just opposite side. And again, I'm just gonna paper clip that. So then you're gonna go ahead and put on all your pattern paper. You have all your signatures done. I highly recommend doing the pattern paper first before you attach these to the spine. But when you do attach them to your hinge, just peel back one of these at a time. You're gonna find where that pocket page is. You're gonna put this on the hinge, and you're only gonna go up until that tape, and then just glue it down and then flip and take off the tape on the other side, and so on. But that is all the pages that you're going to need to make this gorgeous album. I absolutely love how it turned out. I love it so much. And it looks a lot harder than it actually was. I mean, it does take some time because there are 3 signatures here. It is a 2-inch spine. There's a lot of photo space in here, but it's such a lovely album, and I highly recommend you give it a try. Let me know if you do. Let me know what you think of this design that I came up with. I hope you guys like it. And that is everything. So happy crafting, and I will see you guys in my next crafty video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.